What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Love and Rice podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new to this podcast, make sure you guys subscribe, follow, like, comment on everything. We are on all podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio. We're also on Instagram and TikTok. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that is always been around every year. We celebrate it all the time. For I don't know what reason, right? And so we're talking about why is the Moon Festival and eating mooncake so important to our culture? And I'm pretty sure all of you guys who are American born, right? All cultures celebrate this in Asia. And I feel like, you know, for us, like I'm 40, okay? I've never, ever bought a box of mooncake. Ever. But for some reason, there ends up being a box in my house. I end up eating it every year, right? And I don't even know the significance of the Moon Festival. Like, what does the Moon Festival mean to you and your family?
So it's called the Mid-Autumn Festival, right? So basically it's kind of like when the moon is supposed to be like the brightest of the year. And then I think it signifies like unity and family coming together and spending time together. Whereas like say for Chinese New Year, right? Or the Lunar New Year, everyone's there to celebrate like wealth, happiness, good health, and all of that stuff, right? And that's like our most important holiday in our culture. But the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival.
But I call it the Moon Festival. That's what I call it in my family. I never call it the Mid-Autumn.
Moon Festival. Okay.
So like, but before we get into the actual facts of what the festival is really about, like, what does it mean to you specifically? Yeah. Like you growing up as a kid.
So it means getting together as a family because that's like the importance of that holiday for us. It's like, you know, everyone gets busy and we're all doing our own thing. So it's kind of like gathering around mooncake to celebrate.
But you know what's funny about it? This is the funny thing. It's like every year my parents say, "Oh, it's a moon festival. Here's some mooncake," and I'm like, "Cool, thank you." But like I never know what it's for. You know what I mean? Or what it's really about. It's just like, "Oh, it's moon festival. It's that time of the year."
Yeah, I mean, I never really knew what the significance was of the mooncake because, like, to me, I don't really eat mooncake. Usually, we'll get it every year, or we get it for people like close friends and family.
What do you mean you get it for people? You've bought a box
my parents, not
that's what
me
I'm saying.
Specifically. Just because I don't like mooncake, so I'm like, I don't know if I want to get something that I don't even want to eat myself and gift it to other people, unless I know that maybe they like it, but I don't really know anyone that likes it.
I feel like this is where in Asian culture re-gifting started. Because if you guys have noticed, in the Chinese culture, my parents, other people, they re-gift gifts that they get. Yeah. So like I usually end up with secondhand gifts from people, you know, and I'm like, it's got to be because of mooncake, because who actually likes it?
Our parents.
Do they?
I think
because
so.
They gift us a box.
That's true.
And they gift your parents a box.
Probably because they get so many from other people and they're like, oh, well, this is too much. I don't want to eat.
That's what I'm saying.
All
like,
of it.
Who the hell actually buys a box of mooncake?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, my parents used to.
I don't think my parents buy it. They get them as gifts.
Yeah, because your parents go out and they socialize all the time, so they're always getting stuff. But for my parents, like I think it's more of like friends and family that want to like give it to them. And sometimes they would have like get-togethers and have people come over and celebrate it together. And then everyone's like exchanging mooncake with each other, you know?
Oh, so you do it like the really traditional way with your family. Mine is just the way we celebrate it is just like, here's mooncake and you take it home. Like there's really no celebration. We don't eat together. We don't go out and do events. You know what I mean? Like I know other families probably do, like they have a whole like lantern festival or these other events, and I don't know. Like I'm never a part of that. So that's why I'm always like, what is this holiday? Yeah, I really don't get it.
I think it just depends on the families and the people, because like for some people, the importance of that holiday is like getting together and spending time with like people who are close to you and that you have meaningful like relationships with. But for some people, it's more of like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to show you that I appreciate you. Like, here are just some mooncakes. I'm just going to come drop it off and then that's it, you know? So it's like some people That's when it comes in, when the love languages come into play, because it's like, oh, gift giving, that's how I show you that I appreciate you. But for other people, it's like quality time. I want to spend time and get together and share memories and stuff like that.
So that's pretty funny. Like when you're talking about love languages in the Asian culture and how they never say I love you or anything like that, this is probably one of 2 holidays of the year for the Chinese culture where they're like, I'm gifting you these mooncakes.
Yeah.
Right? That's their way of saying, here you go, I love you, son. Here you go, brother, sister.
Yeah, because like we don't really celebrate Christmas in my family, but then like when it comes to these type of holidays, they're like, here, let's give all these, like, let's make the zhong and the what is it, like the sticky rice stuff and all of these things. Like everything that they do is like, oh, it's homemade.
Like, I don't even know what that is. Like when, the sticky rice, it's like this seasonal thing. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, it's that time of the year. And I love it because I love receiving zhong, the sticky rice. And I never know when it is. I just know when people start making it and they're selling it in front of the stores, or your relatives start giving it to you. And I don't know the significance of that either,
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? So like
sticky rice, I'm not sure.
So here's the thing, like being Asian American, we know nothing about these holidays, but yet we're somehow included in it without
because it's
even
a part of our culture,
without knowing what it really is.
Yeah, and maybe we don't ask, or I feel like my parents have tried to explain it to me before, but at the same time, when they tried to explain it to me, like I didn't care enough to know. But then they'll talk about all these different things about it. I'm like, okay, cool, but like, all right, Right, so I feel like as kids, we just never really asked.
Let's pull up what the actual Moon Festival is. I have it here on Wikipedia. Right, it says the Mid-Autumn Festival, also known as the Moon Festival or Mooncake Festival, is a harvest festival celebrated in Chinese culture. It's held on the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunisolar calendar with a full moon at night.
And that gets me every time.
So it says anytime between mid-September to early October is when it's the Moon Festival, because they go off the what they call the lunar. I didn't even know that's what it was called.
Lunar solar calendar, or the Gregorian calendar.
I just thought it was called the Chinese calendar.
Yeah. So it.
Wait, what does Gregorian mean?
Well, it just like. It changes every year. So then you would think that like this Moon Festival, right? That it's the same day every year, like every other holiday, but it always changes.
Right. And that's why we never know when anything is when we're Chinese. Like, we only know when our parents say, hey, it's this time of the month. But it's like, we don't know how to read a Chinese calendar because every day is different. So like, for example, our parents' birthdays, right? I never know when my dad's birthday is, or my mom celebrates her American birthday.
Yeah, so does my mom, I think. But then our dads, like we just went through this and we're still going through it. Like every year, I can't even text my dad and just be like, hey, happy birthday, because I'm like, I'm not sure if it's really your birthday.
How do you know when you think it's his birthday?
So my parents have Facebook, and then when you have Facebook, you have to put your birthday, and then you get notifications, right, when it's someone's birthday. So then it'll pop up, and then the first thing that we always do, me and my brothers and sister, we will do a group text, and we're like, hey, Facebook says it's dad's birthday today. Do you know if it's really his birthday?
Yeah.
And then we're all like, oh, I don't know. Why don't you text? How about you ask him and stuff, So like this year I called my dad and I'm like, hey, so is it your birthday today? And he's like, no, it's not, because today the Moon Festival, this year this Moon Festival started on this time. And then usually their birthday changes every year because his birthday falls a week exactly following the Moon Festival. So I'm like, how are we supposed to follow that every year? It changes.
This is how confusing our parents' birthday is, right? So I thought it was my dad's birthday last week because for some reason on our Google Calendar, it popped up dad's birthday. So I text in my family group chat, I said, happy birthday, dad. And then my mom texts back, it's not his birthday. I'm like, well, why is it on our calendar? And then so you put it,
my dad's birthday,
and you put it in the calendar for right?
Mine, yeah.
So then you text your dad happy birthday, and then to only find out it's not your dad's birthday either. And we're like, wait, what? So it's like, I don't even know how to celebrate these Chinese birthdays and all that.
Yeah, and I feel bad every year because I'm like, I just want to call you and say happy birthday, but every time that happens, it's like, Well, it's not my birthday because the Moon Festival started at this time. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
So now I just wait till
what?
my mom texts me and says, "Oh, it's your dad's birthday."
Yeah,
I'm
but
like, "Oh, okay."
but for me, I like to keep it in the calendar. So at least every year I kind of have an idea when it's going to be. But it sucks to not be able to text him like exactly on the day.
You know what's funny? I didn't find out what my dad's American birthday was until only a couple years ago.
Oh.
I never knew my entire life because they never celebrate that. Like, do you know your dad's American birthday?
I think so.
Are you sure?
I think so. I think it's what I have on the calendar. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's different on the calendar every year.
I don't know. Like with my parents, when they came to the States, like their birthdays got mixed up because like in the Chinese calendar, the way that they format the birthdays, it's I don't know what it is. Is it like day first and then month and then the year or something like that, right? It's all mixed up. So then when my parents came to the States, their birthdays are mixed up. So like say for example, right, it's like American birthdays like September 12, 1954, but then in the US it's like December 9th, 1954. So the month and the date get like mixed up. So then that's what always confuses me. So I'm like, is your birthday in September or is it in December?
I know a lot of people are listening to this can relate to what we're talking about.
I hope so.
Because we all rely on our parents to tell us when the special days are. And so this kind of raises a question to me where it's like the day our parents are gone, they're no longer here with us. How are we going to know any Asian dates? Like Chinese New Year is different every time.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there's Google. You could say when is Chinese New Year on Google and stuff like that. But it's like, we're never going to know how to read a Chinese calendar.
No.
And how come our parents never taught us? You know, they never teach us how to read it.
They don't know. Yeah.
Right?
I feel like maybe they just assume that once they're not there anymore, we're just going to celebrate it however way that we want to.
But you know how beneficial it is to read the Chinese calendar? Because it's not only just like when is someone's birthday, when is the Lunar New Year, Moon Festival. It's also like when you move into a new house, you buy a house, you got to know when is a good day to move in. You got to know when is a good day to get married. You know, a good day to do all these things. So like if we knew how to read it and we do everything on those good luck days, like our life might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, so what's going to happen? Like when our parents are not here anymore and then the kids want to move in.
Imagine we move in on the wrong day.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are we going to do?
That's a great question to ask our parents because we need to know like who to reach out to for anything, especially when it comes to like
can we Google like when is a good day to move in October 2024?
Probably.
It's not based off like everyone's own horoscope stuff.
I think it'll vary. It will really depend.
I think all we know is like just don't do things on Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Right. Like, okay. So let me continue with what this Moon Festival really is about. All right. It says on this day, the Chinese believe that the moon is at its brightest and fullest size, coinciding with the harvest time in the middle of autumn. So
basically the Moon Festival is to you're worshiping the moon and you're showing gratitude and you're praying to the moon because it's tied into the harvest. So basically whenever the moon is the brightest and you pray to the moon and you're like gifting like these foods right on the shrine and stuff, you're basically like thanking the moon for existing and you're praying for good harvest like every year.
But the moon doesn't help with harvest. The sun helps with harvest.
I mean, right? I feel like it goes hand in hand.
When we get sun, then our plants and avocado trees and stuff will grow fuller.
Yeah, but then it also helps with like the weather too, right? With like bringing more rain and like water to help with the...
I guess so. I'm just saying, why is there no sun festival? Why aren't we eating sun cake? You know what I'm saying?
No.
Imagine if we had some sun cake. What would sun cake look like to you? Oh, what the?
What are you okay? With your phone?
I'm just talking, you know.
What was your question?
What would sun cake be if there was a sun festival?
I have no idea.
The hottest cake in the world? Burning our mouth?
I don't know.
Bright orange?
I don't even know how to answer that.
All right, question. So it says that the Moon Festival is the most important holiday in the Chinese culture. It's on par with Chinese New Year. And the history of the festival dates back over 3,000 years. Okay. So it's celebrated by other cultures in East and Southeast Asia. All right. And so there's just a lot, right? Like we can get into all of all this. I don't know. You think is like mythology or like the actual? I don't know, right? There's an actual. So in our notes right here, it says an important part of the festival celebration is moon worship, just like you said, right? I've never seen anyone worship the moon before. I don't even know what that looks like. But it says the ancient Chinese believed in rejuvenation being associated with the moon and water and connected this concept to, what does that say? Menstruation? Calling it monthly water. So the moon is supposed to make us rejuvenate and look and keep us young. So is that what we're being grateful for?
That menstruation, that word threw me off. Monthly water.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so here's the thing. Mooncake is actually very, very sweet, right? It's so sweet that you can't eat too much or you'll have diabetes and stuff. So it's like, if you're celebrating something to rejuvenate yourself, why is eating something with such high sugar content? Like that's, I don't know. It's like yin and yang right there.
I feel like that has nothing to do with
I'm sorry, that was the worst way to say that. Yin and yang is balance. That's not balance. Yeah. That's like total opposites.
I don't know if that comes into play with anything when it comes to like moon festivals.
That's what I'm saying.
Even then, like even though it's like sweet, it's still kind of like, I don't know, it feels starchy to me, so I don't really like the texture of it. And there's this like egg yolk on the inside that I don't like.
So, like I said, we've never bought mooncake in our life, but we always get gifted. So we got some mooncake here, and we're gonna bust it out, and we're gonna eat it together, and we're gonna try it. All right. So I'm gonna bust out this table.
Oh, don't drop it.
Okay. All right, you guys can see the mooncake. Like for some reason, why do we have 2 boxes of mooncake?
From your parents?
You know what I'm saying? So we got these 2 boxes. I want to show you guys what mooncake looks like. It comes in this like beautiful tin, like the tins where they come in like those those old school cookies, and normally you find nothing in there but just coins because your grandparents put coins in it.
Or sewing stuff.
Oh yes,
like sewing thread and needles and stuff and scissors.
But for some reason, these are almost the same tins of those round biscuit cookie ones.
Yep.
But yet, actually, no one ever puts anything in these.
They probably do, and we just think that they have mooncake in the house.
For a whole year?
Probably.
All right, so this is what it looks like when you guys open it up. All right, there's a bunch of mooncakes in here, and they're all individually wrapped. Like we're not even gonna eat all this. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then, we try to introduce mooncake to our kids to see if they'll like it. And they're like, nah, I don't want that. It looks weird. And so my dad got our kids some minion mooncakes. Minions. So it would entice them to eat it.
Yeah. So like usually this is your traditional mooncake and this is what it looks like, right? But I think this year, like it was your dad's friend's company or something that created these. And I feel like because kids don't really like it, like they got creative and they like made minion ones, you know, to try to like, I don't know, get kids to be more in tune with their culture and maybe to feel like, oh, this is cool, like I want to try it, because the kids actually did ask for it.
Yeah.
When we woke up in the morning, your mom's like, so what do you guys want to eat for breakfast? And they're like, oh, we want the minion mooncakes. And in my head I'm like, okay, grandma, just cut it. And then they're like, take out the egg yolk. And I'm like, okay, just see if they're gonna like it. I feel like it'll last like a good 5 minutes and they're gonna be like, ew.
Yeah, they didn't like it. They didn't like
That's
it.
exactly what happened.
But here, let's try it. So you don't like mooncake?
I do not. Yeah, I never did. I would try it. Maybe there are some good ones that I would like, but then I just don't like it overall.
I like it.
Ugh.
I really do.
But then like usually when people try to give it to us, I'm like, I don't want it. But then at the same time, you don't want to be rude and you want to accept it because they're showing you like their token of appreciation. So that's why we have it.
All right, before we cut it up, let's see. It says it is lotus seed paste with 2 egg yolks, sugar, water, peanut oil. All right, I'm gonna cut this up. Okay.
That made me not want to eat it even more. Well, but maybe this might be a good one. Like, it looks good every time I see it. And I'm like, oh, I want to try it, but
my thing is like
it.
Who thought that putting a salted egg yolk would taste good in this?
There has to be some significance for it. I don't know.
Because that's what the moon looks like?
Possibly. Oh. No, so you know the moon and then like the circle of the mooncakes, it all signifies like a circle signifies completeness, and that's why it's kind of like you're supposed to come together as a family and you're supposed to be this complete circle and be in unity, and you're talking about like friendships and relationships. Like that is the focus of like the moon festival.
Maybe they
and
just
that's
thought
why it's
maybe they just
circular.
thought that the moon tasted like ass, and so they thought of the most disgusting flavor ever. There you
Why
go.
is it so moist in there?
Oh, because we drove back from Vegas and it was in the trunk and it was hot when we drove back.
I mean, it smells good. It smells almost like peanut butter.
Oh.
But that's that egg yolk. This actually looks decent because usually it's more like solid and stuff. This actually looks kind of juicy.
It's got some sort of breading crust to it. All right.
This might be a good one. Yeah.
So normally what I do is I always take out the yolk first. I always take out the yolk.
I think I might try a little bit.
You try it? All right. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Cheers. No. I don't like that egg. It's like very chalky. And the flavor's really weird.
Why do people... Okay, hold up. I don't like the egg yolk, but the sweet and salty actually balances it out pretty good.
Like, it doesn't taste bad, but I'd rather just not have it because I'm like...
What don't you like about it?
The texture. Because it's so sticky. Like, the flavor's not bad, but then when you're chewing it, it gets stuck to your teeth, and I'm trying to swallow it, but it's stuck to the roof of my mouth, and it's stuck on, like, my... I don't know, it gets stuck in my throat when I'm trying to swallow it.
I like the paste. I like the... What is a lotus seed?
It could be whatever's on the inside. What do you mean?
What's a lotus? Is it like lotus root? And there's like a flower that comes out of lotus and we're eating like...
Possibly.
I mean, it's lotus seeds.
I have no idea. Yeah, maybe.
We don't even know what we're eating.
No.
That's how crazy the Chinese culture is. Like, we do stuff that we know nothing about. We're eating crap that we have nothing about. Like, that's just our life.
I feel like that's just how it's always been. Like, our parents have always just taught us to do things and we follow it and we do what we need to do. But then, like, it really depends on the person to be like, hey, what does this mean? And what does that mean? What is the significance of this?
That's why we believe anything our parents say. Because there's never any facts or truth to anything. It's just like, here, this is what we do. And you think that's just normal.
I mean, I feel like I've asked and then I just kind of forget over time. Because then once, I remember as a kid, like, they make you do everything. You're there for every single celebration and you're a part of it. But as you get older... they kind of just let you do your own thing and you're there to be there, but then like they're not like, oh, you have to do this, you have to try that, you have to do this with the family. Like, they're not as old fashioned.
So this mooncake, it was a little bit as I finished my bite, it tastes kind of seedy.
Yeah,
and it's like a paste, right? Honestly, I like mooncake better than actual cake.
Ew, I like cake. I don't like mooncake.
No, cake is so dry.
It depends on the type of cake, but I would rather have cake than this. Like this, I don't know. It's just like very pasty and stuff.
It also tastes like a lot of sesame oil in my mouth.
Yeah.
What does it smell like?
Not sesame oil.
Smell my breath.
Nope. No, I already did. It smells like ass.
How do you know what ass smells like?
So I'm looking at it.
What? What?
Just kidding.
I'm gonna make you smell my ass right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn off the camera.
I don't know what would be worse.
Mooncake or ass?
Stupid.
I don't know. Let's dive a little bit into the origins of this moon festival, okay? So it says that Chinese have celebrated the harvest during the autumn full moon since the Shang dynasty, 1600 to 1046 BCE. That's a long time ago. How do they even know? First appeared in a written collection of rituals from the Western Zhou dynasty. Man, I don't even know what all this is. As for the royal courts, it was dedicated to the goddess. This is still true for Taoism and Chinese folk religion. So, one legend explains that the emperor started to hold formal celebrations in his palace after having explored the Moon Palace. And so now what we know, like the Ming and Qing dynasties that, you guys probably hear stories from your parents, becomes one of the main folk festivals in China. And so it says something about the Empress loved the celebration so much that she would spend the period between the 13th and 17th day of the 8th month doing a lot of rituals. So they celebrated for like a week. It says, here's something interesting. In some areas of China, there are still customs in which the men do not worship the moon and the women do not offer sacrifices to the kitchen gods. Now it's getting so deep.
Yeah, I don't even understand what that means.
It also talks about how when the moon is pregnant. So I guess that's what it signifies right now. It's like it becomes round and then it becomes crescent after giving birth to a child. Man, this stuff is crazy.
Weird.
So like, do you believe in all of this stuff, or do you have a different idea of how this all started?
I mean, not really. Like, I feel like there's some meaning. There's always a meaning behind everything. So
because this is just what I read was just from the Chinese culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's still Koreans that celebrate this, Vietnamese that celebrate this, Southeast Asia, Japan, like all these cultures celebrate this, and they all have their own stories.
Yeah, I feel like the idea of the celebration is probably like a generalized idea, but then everyone has their own ways of like they have their different rituals and how they worship the moon, and how like maybe it comes down to like the way that they pray, the way that they get together, the way that they have like different processes. Maybe when it comes down to like the food that they're serving, because you're asking earlier about like how they pray to the moon, right? So it's basically like when we're at home, like my parents' house, they had like a shrine. So then when it comes to Chinese New Year and other things, you're pretty much putting food out to offer to the gods and the goddesses. But then for the moon festival, like you would have food that you're offering to the gods and goddesses as well. But at the same time, we would have a table, like a small foldable table outside. And then we'll also offer food to the moon as well.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So like, this is what's interesting to me is that how come for some reason every Asian culture celebrates the moon festival like in their own ways, right? They're just like, oh, that's a crazy moon, it's time to celebrate. What made all these cultures think that that's a time to celebrate, and how come the Americans don't?
I mean, they probably celebrate the moon in different ways. It's kind of like when you're in astrology and all of these other things, and you're like more associated with like the spiritual world, right? Every time there's a full moon, a pink moon, a yellow moon, a super moon, like all of those things, like people are celebrating it in different ways. Except our significance of it is different, and it's more like honed into one specific holiday rather than like, oh, well, this is a special moon today or whatever it is.
Did you see that there's this thing going around saying that for the next couple years we are going to have 2 moons around Earth?
I haven't heard of that
at all.
There's
a second moon that's going to be here for I don't know, 2 years or something like that. I don't remember. So but
I feel like there's so many different things that are happening like in the sky in our world that has never happened before.
So do we celebrate 2 moon festivals now?
I have no idea.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you got to eat mooncake twice, even though you don't like it.
I doubt it. Yeah, I don't know.
What if you just ate the yolk? Tell me what it.
No,
what
I
it
did.
like.
I ate it before I ate everything else. So it doesn't have a taste. It tastes fatty, and it tastes like very powdery.
Is this the same yolk as peidan, the 1,000-year-old egg?
I feel like it's different. This is like.
Oh, so this is a regular chicken egg that's just salted.
Probably. It's the way that they cook it that makes it like that.
What do they do with all the whites? They make it into the cake?
Maybe it's a part of the cake. I don't know. But usually that's what they use too when they do like the zhong and the sticky rice and stuff for like Chinese New Year.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
there's some kind of significance in it. I just don't know what.
When I eat the sticky rice, I also take out the yolk first. It's nasty.
I don't like it, but I do want to.
I just want them to fill it with like lapchung, and that's it. Just Chinese sausage, you know?
Yes.
What are you researching?
I want to know why is this salty egg
in mooncake?
In mooncake?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Who said that would taste good?
Okay, so salted eggs are often included in mooncakes to symbolize the full moon and add a sweet and salty contrast to the pastry. Yeah, I mean, so it just is supposed to balance it out, I guess.
It's definitely a chef that didn't create this.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it's the representation of the circle again for the moon, and then it's just like to balance out, because like you're saying, the mooncake is very sweet, so maybe that like the egg's supposed to be buttery and salty to balance it out, so it's not too overwhelming, but it's still kind of pretty disgusting.
I never seen anyone take a bite out of both parts and be like, that's damn good. That's a damn good mooncake.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't think I've ever seen anyone.
Everyone's always just went, ew.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't even see my parents ever eat this.
Mm-mm.
It's nasty.
I don't know if I've
Kinda
ever
nasty.
seen your parents eat mooncake before. Like they're always giving us mooncakes, but then
that's what I'm saying,
what if they're
right?
just giving it all to us?
They are. They are. I mean, my parents are diabetic. They don't want that in their house anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, even in the last 40 years, I still get it every year, even before they were diabetic. So it's like they still never really ate it.
Do you know if like usually when people give mooncakes, don't they also give like fruit and stuff too with it sometimes? I feel like they do.
I don't
maybe
remember.
Because it's
maybe
round
like
too.
like, you know what? I would get like Korean pears and stuff.
Yeah.
Or is that for Chinese New Year? I would get Korean pears.
No, I saw at your parents' house they had a whole bunch of like Korean pears and stuff too. Like it's usually Korean pears, oranges, and apples. So it's like a lot of the fruits that are like circles. They're circular.
It's interesting that we're celebrating harvest of foods, but we're not harvesting in this season. The food is in full harvest at like in spring.
Yeah, I have no idea.
This is like the beginning of a new harvest.
Maybe that's why. So they're praying for it so that they can have like, you need time to pray for it so that the moon can provide and be able to like be ready for it and prepare for it. Probably,
you look
right?
Like you're giving birth.
What do you mean? But it's like, I mean, this is kind of what it is, right? It's the moon trying to have like a rebirth and like have a good harvest for whoever is praying for it. And, you know, so I think that's probably what it is.
It's quite interesting, especially if you don't drink water while you eat this. I still feel the paste in the back of my throat right now. It's all dry and sweet. But I mean,
do any of you guys like mooncake? Because I really do want to know. Like, I don't know anyone.
All right, so
like,
comment, guys,
friends.
Spotify and YouTube, if you guys like mooncake or you think it tastes like ass. And I don't know, like I'm sure.
I wouldn't say it tastes like ass.
Go ahead, it's a free country.
You gotta respect the culture. You know, there's some kind of significance and meaning to it. You can't just say that it tastes like ass.
I mean, if it tastes like ass, it tastes like ass.
No, you can't do that.
This shit tastes like ass to me, guys.
The moon gods are watching you. Exactly.
Stop putting all that superstitious stuff into us.
Well, but that's what my parents have done my whole life. Do you remember the other night when it was a full moon?
Yeah, for the moon festival.
Yeah, for the moon festival. And then finally this year, if you guys have been watching our episodes, I've been finally more confident and not as like scared about pointing at the moon. So usually if there's a moon, I'm like, oh, it's right there, or it's like right there, and I'm not technically pointing at it. Because I wasn't pointing at it. No, I was like, oh, the moon's right there. I'm not pointing at it. Or I'll be like, oh, it's right there.
You're
like,
still
with
pointing.
Like I'm not pointing. This is pointing.
This is still pointing.
No.
You're still directing something.
I'm directing, but I'm not pointing. This is pointing. So
is this not pointing?
So the other
Wait, what if someone doesn't have a finger? Are they not pointing?
You're getting way off track.
That's so bad. You're saying that if someone was handicapped and they didn't have any fingers, or they didn't have the full use of their hands, and that's the only way they can point at the moon, that's considered pointing still.
For them specifically. Yeah. But when you're pointing at something, it's usually like, don't point your finger at me because that's pointing. But anyway, so the other night...
If I do this to you... Wait, hold up. If I do this to you, is that still not like a bad feeling for you?
It depends on what you're doing it for and the tone that you're using.
So I'm like, hey, like this. See? And I'm pointing, right? You don't like it, right?
Is like...
Okay, so now if I go, hey, what is that? How does that feel to you?
It feels kind of different. It doesn't have the same effect.
What does it feel like?
It doesn't have the same effect, right? It's like a little nut.
Wait, hold on. We shouldn't be shaking like this.
That's so weird. Ew, gross. So, you're making this topic so inappropriate right now.
I was ready to outro this.
Well, but I was basically trying to say that usually I grew up in a very superstitious and very old-fashioned household and very traditional. So then this year I finally have been more open with like being able to point at the moon, whether it's like this. And then this year I was like, hey guys, look, it's a full moon. And I went like this. And my mom's like, don't do that. You're not supposed to point at the moon or it's going to cut your ear. And I was
what will cut my ear?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. The moon?
How's the moon going to cut your ear?
Who knows? You might just wake up and have a cut in your ear one day and not know what it's from. But basically, this is what has been ingrained in my life my whole life.
So the one day you have an accident and you cut your ear, and then let's say you get robbed or you're being held at knife point, and some guy slashes your ear like 10 years later. Your mom's going to be like, remember 10 years ago you pointed at the moon?
It was the moon.
See, and she's gonna be like, I never pointed at the moon. That's why I never got slashed in the ear.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't point at it. Yeah, that's exactly
so
what I mean.
Stupid.
Yeah. So
they'll find any excuse to make things justified.
I guess so, but it scared me for my whole life, and till this day, I'm still like, I probably won't point at it ever again. Ever since that incident.
That's something I've only heard from your mom. No one else.
Yeah, I don't know. But
nobody.
Yeah, that's ingrained in my
life. All right, guys. If your family is crazy like this, I would like to know if that's normal and you guys go through all this too, or is it just my wife and her family?
It's because the moon is sacred. You shouldn't be pointing at it. It's so disrespectful. You know what I mean? Right? If I'm like, hey,
you better close that finger. You better close that finger.
Hey, how's it going? Like, then you're like this, you know? It's different.
No, if you go like this, like, that's like you want to fight.
But this is worse.
So anyway. Then it has to be like this. So they don't know that that one finger is pointing, and then you don't have a full
like the
fist.
Iron fist, though?
So it's like, hey, you. I'm gonna stop doing this in front of my mouth.
Yeah, you're saying that. Anyways, my family's crazy, but I think.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, I actually would love to hear a lot of comments on this. On YouTube and Spotify. If you guys can please comment about how you guys handle the Moon Festival, if you guys like eating the stuff.
How do you guys celebrate it?
Believe in all the stuff, or like, I don't know, man. I want to hear some wild stories.
Do you guys make mooncakes yourself, or do you guys just buy it at the store? Like, I want to know what the process is. Who knows? I have no idea.
Nobody except for a manufacturer makes a mooncake.
You don't know that. You don't know that until someone comments below and it's like, oh yeah, I make it and I sell it too, or something.
You gotta be some straight up crazy ass village people to make this on your own. I'm village, and that's got to be like super village. All right, guys. If you are new to our podcast, make sure you guys subscribe and follow on all platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio. And also, if you guys liked it, give us a like. Give us some thumbs up. Put us in the algorithm. And we'll see you guys next time on Love and Rice. Bye-bye.